This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good morning everyone. Shalom Aleichem, Ruchim Habayim. So today we want to speak about two subjects on Daf Nun Daled. They're both relevant to the Gemara, the Mishnah and Gemara on Nun Gimel Amud Beis. And the Mishnah said, a din, that Yibum your kaina bein b'shageg bein b'mezid. Which means even if he didn't know who she was, even if he lived with her b'mezid means l'shem znus. His kavanah was totally just to have the relation without any kavanah of doing a mitzvah, without any kavanah of making a kinyan. He just lived with her b'shoigeg or b'mezid. There's no difference, you're kaina. So the Minchas Chinuch has a very interesting question. Because we paskin, mitzvos tzrichos kavanah. Which technically means if somebody went into shul and they said Shema, and they didn't formally think, I hereby am a chavein to mekayim the mitzvah of Shema, they weren't mekayim any mitzvah. Somebody put on tefillin, and they did not formally have the thought, I have kavanah to be mekayim the mitzvah of putting on tefillin, they didn't do a mitzvah. They might be a nice person, they might help old ladies cross the street, but they didn't put on tefillin. Or let's say a person put on talis, and he didn't think, I have kavanah to be mekayim the mitzvah of talis. Now, the Chai Adam says there's a concept of staman lishma, which means that, what else are you doing? Why else are you putting on this big garment and wrapping your head in it? What else are you wrapping leather straps? So that determines that the action is with kavanah. But that's only b'diavad. So it's very possible somebody could be a frum Jew, and after 120 they could go upstairs, they were never mekayim a mitzvah l'chadchila in their whole life. But that's how we paskin mitzvah tzrichas kavanah. That's Siman Samach and Shulchan Aruch. That's why it's very important. Before you do any mitzvah, Friday night before you make kiddush, you have a choice. You can make kiddush l'chadchila, or you can make kiddush b'diavad. You want to make kiddush b'diavad, make kiddush. You want to make kiddush l'chadchila, have kavanah to mekayim the mitzvah d'oraisa of kiddush Friday night. You could say Berachas Hamazon l'chadchila or b'diavad. B'diavad, you just say it. L'chadchila, before you say it, you're mechavein, mekayim the mitzvah of Berachas Hamazon. This is something relevant, throughout one's life and throughout one's day. But the Minchas Chinuch's question is as follows: that yes, Yibum does not require it to be b'kavanah, and even if you're doing it b'mezid, by the way, even if you hold mitzvos ein tzrichos kavanah, which we don't hold, if you have negative kavanah, you're not yotzei. So if your kavanah is for something else, you're not yotzei. So in this case, the guy's kavanah was either b'shogeg, he didn't know who she was, or b'mezid, he had kavanah for znus. Either way, if you hold mitzvos tzrichos kavanah, so very nice, it's a good yibum, but you weren't mekayim the mitzvah of yibum. Now, is that possible? That you did yibum, but you weren't mekayim the mitzvah? So the Minchas Chinuch, in mitzvah Tov Kuf Tzadichas, Ois Vav, says, let's see if I can make it a little bit bigger. I will now refrain from writing what had entered my mind, but I didn't sort of bring it into the test of discerning thought. Yadua, the Yibum mitzvah saseh. We all know Yibum is a mitzvah saseh. Like we had a whole sugya, aseh doichaloi saseh. Loi kumai gerushin. Gittin is not a mitzvah. V'toyin v'nitten v'chadayma. The dinei mitzvah him a mitzvah snai kach. There, by gerushin, the mitzvah is you should do this. You're not fulfilling a mitzvah. Rakan mekayim a mitzvah. But by Yibum you're mekayim a mitzvah. K'mavor da'aseh doichaloi saseh. Umi shavki b'sefer ha-mitzvah s'rabbeinu v'amfarshim yoidea davar zevu pashat. All the money ha-mitzvahs count Yibum as a mitzvah. Now v'yodua das roiv ha-rishonim the mitzvah tzrichas kavanah. We know the opinion of most Rishonim that mitzvahs need kavanah. V'loi kavanah latzeh so yatsi chayvas ha-mitzvah. If you don't have kavanah, you're not yotzei. V'yafta yesh soivrim the mitzvahs ein tzrichas kavanah. even though there are those who hold mitzvahs don't need kavanah. If you have kavanah not to be mekayim, you're not yotzei. Af behanos haguf, even selling your nana. In other words, if let's say you eat matzah and you have kavanah not to be yotzei, you won't be yotzei. This is well known. Everybody knows that if mitzvah strichos kavanah, if you don't have kavanah, you're not yotzei. If mitzvah ain't strichos kavanah, but if you have kavanah not to be yotzei, you're not yotzei. If you live with your yavama, bein bezadain, hainu l'shem znus, bein b'shoigeg, bein ba'oines kaina. That's the Gemara in Yavamas, nun dalid. We learn out from a pasuk. Imkein efsher, says the Minchas Chinuch, Nihi dekana oisa, v'hava ishtoi, mikamaka mitzvahs Hashem yizrach lo kiyim. The mitzvahs of Hashem you're not mekayim, ki tzarich kavanah lotzeis. You need kavanah. You know what the nafkamina is? That you didn't do the mitzvah yet, so you're chayiv to have biyah shniya. You're going to have to do biyah again, l'shem mitzvah. The nafkamina, the chaves ha-mitzvah tells of lo yigar shena takeoff. In other words, let's say he just wants to do the mitzvah and then divorce her. No, he has to have one more biyah. Ad shiyavala l'shem mitzvah v'yikayim mitzvah. Now, what entered my mind now is, if that's the case, then the Gemara says, why don't you do Yibum to Chayve Lavin? The Gemara says, it's Gzera Bia Rishayna Atu Bia Shniya. Why don't we say it's Gzera that you might not have Kavanah, and then you're not Mekayim the mitzvah? Forget about Bia Shniya, Bia Rishayna might not be a mitzvah. Okay, but that's what the Minchas Chinuch is saying, that it's possible that you're married to this woman and you made a kinyan, but you were Mekayim the mitzvah. That's a very interesting status, that you did Yibum and you didn't get the mitzvah of Yibum. So it sounds a little funny. It sounds a little strange. How's that possible? Now, in past Shiurim, in general, we once advanced the following concept. This is from Rabbi Yosef Engel. We once had this shir on Parshas Vayigash. Let's say, why don't you make a bracha on tzedakah? Give tzedakah, Baruch atah Hashem l'keinu melech haolam, Shek Yishem zazanu, litain tzedakah. Why don't you make a bracha on tzedakah? So we said the following idea, that there are two kinds of mitzvahs. Some mitzvahs, the mitzvah is to do the act, to shake the lulav and esrog, to put on the tefillin. So then you make a bracha, because the bracha supplies kavanah. But some mitzvahs, is the mitzvah to go like this, oh, Ani, is a mitzvah to go like this, to put the nickel in the Ani's hand. Is that the mitzvah? Is the mitzvah like, just like shaking a lulav? I remember once I was a rabbi in a certain place, and a lady came in to do mechiras chametz, and it came up to the ceremony of picking up the pen. So remember, she picked up the pen. She took a deep breath, and she lifted up the pen like she was picking up a lulav and esrog, like this is like a very holy act. I didn't have the heart to break it to her. This is just, we're just making a kinyan over here. This is not a holy act. So, is giving the ani, is it like a davar a maisa shel kedusha, putting the no, that's not the mitzvah. The mitzvah is not the act. The mitzvah is the result. Certain mitzvahs, the mitzvah is the result. The result is the ani should have money to buy food. The mitzvah is not the act of putting the money in his hand. The mitzvah is that the ani should be able to buy food. In that case, so therefore, kavanah is irrelevant. You know why kavanah is irrelevant? Because the ani could care less what you're thinking. The ani doesn't care if your kavanah was to help him. The ani doesn't care if your kavanah was that you should be honored by your local school. Whatever. Since the mitzvah is the result and not the maisa, kavanah is irrelevant. And if kavanah is irrelevant, you don't make a bracha on it. That's the chiddush of Rabbi Yosef Engel. That there are two kinds of mitzvahs. Some mitzvahs, the mitzvah is the maisa. Where the mitzvah is the maisa, kavanah is important. Where the mitzvah is the result of the maisa, kavanah is irrelevant. Rabbi Elchanan Wasserman says the same thing with Yibum. What is the mitzvah of Yibum? Is the mitzvah the bia, or is the mitzvah that she should be kanoi to him? The result of the bia is that she should be in acquisition. Rabbi Elchanan says that, and this is probably a chidush, I don't know if I would have said this, but Rabbi Elchanan in the middle of the piece, he's really asking on Abba Shaul. Abba Shaul says you must be mechavin l'shem mitzvah, and if you live with her shalei l'shem mitzvah, there's an isra of eishasach. And the Rambam says it's because Abba Shaul holds it's techuya and not hutra. But Rabbi Elchanan has the following question: Ein lahakshas the gam belavkra tehei kavanna l'shem mitzvah ma'akeves hakinyan mitam the mitzvah strichas kavanna. Forget about Abba Shaul. We hold mitzvah strichas kavanna. So how could you be kind of a woman if it's the Yibum's b'shoigeg or b'mezid? Says Rabbi Elchanan haloi kasha. Kivan de hakinyan mitzad atzmai ein tzarach kavanna. The kinyan doesn't need kavanna. Ilav kra. If not for the pasuk. But that's in Abba Shaul. So kinyan doesn't need kavanna. The hakinyan chal b'loi kavanas mitzvah. Kinyan is chal without kavanna for the mitzvah. The mela neskaima mitzvah. The mela you're mekayim the mitzvah. Because the mitzvah is not the act of the mitzvah. The mitzvah is the result that she should be acquired by you. Similar to what the Marachar Zarua says later on, Legabe Shlichos, V'hu adin the yesh l'chalei kein gam l'inyan mitzvah strichas kavanna. The dafka b'mitzvah shehamaisa ba'atzma hi guf ha-mitzvah. Only where the mitzvah itself is the actual mitzvah, hasam ha-kavanna ma'akeves. Like matzah, the act is the mitzvah. Tkiya shofar. Aval hecha the ikar ha-mitzvah hi toitzas ha-maisa. Ein ha-kavanna ma'akeves. For example, Piriya Varivya. Is the mitzvah the act or is the mitzvah result? We once had a shiur on this. Rav Moshe Grado learns the mitzvah is the act, but Rabbi Elchanan learns the mitzvah is the result. Imagine like this: a guy has 33 kids, 23 boys, 10 girls. And we say, "Pal, mitzvah strichas kavanna. Guess what? You're never mekayim the mitzvah." So now he has to go break it to his wife. Yeah. So what? Does that make sense? I think according to Rav Moshe, like this. According to Rav Moshe, it could be Hitaka was never Mekayim the mitzvah. It's just if you have a boy and a girl, you're exempt from, you don't have to do it again. You're pater. According to the Minchas Chinuch though, and Rabbi Elchanan, the mitzvah is the result, having a boy and a girl. If the mitzvah is the result, you don't have to have kavanna. So Rabbi Elchanan says, "V'gamim hoyled banim b'loy kavanas mitzvah neskaima mitzvah eleven tzach lachsul hoyled." V'chein b'yibum, the mitzvah is that she should be kanoi to him. If the kinyan is chal without kavanna, right, which the kinyan is chal without, there's no din that kinyan sricha kavanna. The din is mitzvah srichas kavanna. So since the kinyan is chal, and the purpose of the mitzvah is the result, namely the kinyan. So, by the way, Rabbi Elchanan says, let's say somebody produces a mamzer. Are they mekayim the mitzvah puravu? So Rabbi Elchanan says yes. Why? But it's a mitzvah haba ba'avera. This is another interesting shaila. Mitzvah haba ba'avera is only an issue. Mitzvah haba ba'avera is only an issue if the mitzvah is the act. If the mitzvah is the result, we don't care how it comes about. So let's say somebody lives with the chas v'shalom, their sister, and they produce a child. They're mekayim the mitzvah puravu. It's a mitzvah haba ba'avera. No, it's not. The mitzvah is not the act. The mitzvah is the result. Okay, very interesting. So that's basically that's our first shiur. First shiur is, I would have said that's a chiddush. In other words, if you would have asked me what is the mitzvah of Yibum, I would have said the mitzvah is the act. And Rabbi Elchanan says no, the mitzvah is the result. Namely, she should be nikneh. And even though it happens simultaneously, nevertheless, mitzvah kavanna l'kiyam ha-mitzvah is not ma'akev. Okay, that's the first offering.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.